Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Today, we will travel far back in time. We will go to ancient Egypt. We will meet a queen who was smart, brave, and very careful with power. Her name was Cleopatra. She lived more than 2,000 years ago, but people still remember her today. Why? Because her life was full of danger, difficult choices, and big moments in history. Cleopatra was born in the year 69 before Christ. She was born in Alexandria, a great city in Egypt. Alexandria stood near the Blue Sea. Ships came there from many lands. The streets were busy. The markets were full. The great library of Alexandria was famous in all the world. Many people came to study there. They came to read books, talk about science, and learn new ideas. Cleopatra was not from an old Egyptian family. Her family was Greek. They came to Egypt after the time of Alexander the Great. For many years, her family ruled Egypt. They lived like Egyptian kings and queens, but they also spoke Greek. They followed Greek customs. Many rulers before Cleopatra did not learn the Egyptian language, but Cleopatra was different. She wanted to speak to her people. She wanted to understand them. So she learned Egyptian. When Cleopatra was young, she studied many things. She learned languages. She learned history. She learned music. She learned science. She learned how to speak well. She listened carefully. She asked questions. She watched people. She understood something important very early. A ruler must not only wear a crown. A ruler must know people, money, land, friends, and enemies. But Egypt was not safe. Egypt was rich. It had grain, gold, and a strong river. The Nile River gave life to the land. But Egypt was not as powerful as before. Far away in Italy, Rome was growing stronger every year. Roman armies were everywhere. Roman leaders wanted money, land, and control. Many small kingdoms were afraid of Rome. Egypt was afraid too. Cleopatra's father tried to stay friends with Rome. He gave money to powerful Roman men. He wanted Rome to protect him. But many people in Egypt did not respect him. They thought he was weak. They thought he cared too much about Rome. When he died, Cleopatra was only 18 years old, and suddenly she became queen. But she was not alone on the throne. By tradition, she had to rule with her younger brother. His name was Ptolemy XIII. He was only a boy. Cleopatra was young too. But she was much older than him. She was clever. She was ready to rule. She wanted to make decisions herself. But her brother had advisors. These men wanted power. They wanted to control the young king. They did not want Cleopatra to be strong. At first, Cleopatra ruled with her brother. But soon, the palace became full of secret plans. The advisors spoke against her. They said she wanted too much power. They said she was dangerous. They turned people against her. After some time, Cleopatra lost control. She had to leave Egypt. She went away to Syria. She was still very young, but now she had no throne, no palace, and no safe future. Many people would stop there. Many people would cry and give up. But Cleopatra did not give up. In Syria, she began to plan. She needed soldiers. She needed money. She needed friends. She spoke to local leaders. She collected an army. She waited for the right moment. She believed Egypt was still hers, and she wanted to return. Then one of the most powerful men in the world came to Egypt. His name was Julius Caesar. He was a Roman general. He was famous, rich, and dangerous. He had won many battles. He had many enemies too. One enemy was a Roman man named Pompey. Pompey ran to Egypt because he needed help. But the advisors of young Ptolemy made a terrible choice. They killed Pompey. They thought Caesar would be happy. But Caesar was not happy. Pompey had been his enemy. Yes, but he was still a great Roman man. Caesar thought his death was shameful. He came to Alexandria. He entered the royal palace. Now Rome was inside Egypt's problems. Cleopatra heard the news. She understood quickly. This was her chance. If she could meet Caesar, maybe he would help her return to power. But meeting Caesar was not easy. Her brother's men controlled the city. If Cleopatra entered openly, they could catch her, maybe kill her. So she needed a clever plan. And Cleopatra was very clever. One night, a servant carried a large bundle into the palace. Some stories say it was a carpet. Some say it was a cloth bag. The guards thought it was a gift for Caesar. They allowed it inside. When the bundle was opened, Cleopatra came out. She had hidden inside it. She risked her life to reach Caesar. Imagine the room for a moment. Caesar looked at this young queen. She was brave, calm, and intelligent. She did not come like a weak person asking for help. She came like a ruler who had a plan. Cleopatra spoke to Caesar. She explained her situation. She told him about her brother's advisors. She told him that Egypt needed strong rule. She told him she could be a good friend to Rome. Caesar listened. He was impressed. Cleopatra was not just beautiful. She was sharp. She knew politics. She knew timing. She knew how to use words. Caesar decided to support Cleopatra. This made her brother's side angry. A war began in Alexandria. Caesar and Cleopatra were trapped in the palace for a time. Outside, Egyptian forces attacked. Inside, Caesar had only a small number of Roman soldiers. It was dangerous. The city was full of fear. Fires burned near the harbor. Some old books may have been lost in this time. Alexandria suffered, but Caesar was strong. More Roman soldiers arrived. The fighting changed. Ptolemy's army was defeated. The young king tried to escape. He drowned in the Nile. Cleopatra was queen again. She had won back her throne, but she had won it with Roman help. And this meant Rome would always be close. Cleopatra and Caesar became very close. Some people say it was love. Some people say it was politics. Maybe it was both. Cleopatra later had a son. She named him Caesarion. The name means Little Caesar. She said Julius Caesar was the father. For Cleopatra, this child was very important. If Caesar accepted him, the boy could connect Egypt and Rome. Cleopatra went to Rome with Caesarion. This was a bold choice. Many Romans did not like seeing a foreign queen in their city. They were proud people. They did not like kings and queens. They believed Rome should not have a monarch. They watched Caesar carefully. They thought he was becoming too powerful. They feared he wanted to rule like a king. Then, in the year 44 before Christ, everything changed. Julius Caesar was killed in Rome. A group of Roman senators attacked him. They said they were saving the Republic. Cleopatra was in danger. Her great Roman protector was dead. Rome was full of confusion. So Cleopatra took her son and returned quickly to Egypt. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra had to be careful again. Rome was now divided. Caesar's supporters and enemies fought for power. Two men became very important. One was Octavian, Caesar's adopted son. The other was Mark Antony, a strong Roman general. Antony had been close to Caesar. He was brave, popular with soldiers, and powerful in the eastern part of the Roman world. Cleopatra watched Rome from Egypt. She waited. She did not rush. She knew that Egypt could not fight Rome alone. She needed the right Roman partner. Soon Mark Antony called her to meet him. He wanted to know if she was loyal. He wanted money and support. Cleopatra understood the moment. She did not go like a frightened queen. She arrived like the queen of a great country. She sailed to meet Antony on a beautiful boat. The boat had purple sails. It smelled of perfume. Music played. Servants moved quietly. Cleopatra dressed like a goddess. People came to the riverbanks to see her. Antony was amazed. He expected a queen who needed him, but he met a queen who knew her own power. Antony and Cleopatra became close. Again, history asks the same question. Was it love? Was it politics? Maybe both. Antony needed Egypt's wealth. Cleopatra needed Rome's protection. But they also seemed to enjoy each other. They laughed, talked, traveled, and spent time together in Alexandria. Cleopatra gave Antony a world of beauty, learning, and royal power. For some years, Cleopatra's position became stronger. She had children with Antony. He gave lands to her and to their children. Cleopatra wanted Egypt to stay independent. She wanted her family to rule in the East. She wanted Caesarion to be seen as a true son of Caesar. But this was very dangerous. Because in Rome, Octavian was watching. Octavian was clever and patient. He wanted to be the main leader of Rome. Antony was his rival. So Octavian began to attack him with words. He told the Romans that Antony had become weak. He said Antony was controlled by Cleopatra. He said Cleopatra wanted power over Rome. This made many Romans angry and afraid. Octavian used fear as a weapon. The friendship between Antony and Octavian broke completely. War came. On one side stood Octavian. On the other side stood Antony and Cleopatra. The final great battle happened near Actium, in the year 31 before Christ. It was a sea battle. Ships moved across the water. Soldiers shouted. Oars hit the waves. The future of Egypt and Rome was in that battle. Antony and Cleopatra lost. Their ships could not defeat Octavian's forces. Cleopatra escaped with some of her ships. Antony followed her. Some people later said he made a terrible mistake. They said he left the battle too soon. Whatever the reason, the result was clear. Octavian had won. Antony and Cleopatra returned to Egypt, but now their world was falling apart. Octavian moved closer to Egypt. He wanted full control. Antony tried to fight again, but his power was weak. Many soldiers left him. Many friends changed sides. This often happens when power begins to fall. People who smile in good times disappear in bad times. Antony felt lost. Cleopatra also knew the truth. Rome was coming, and Egypt could not stop it. In Alexandria, the final days were heavy. The palace was quiet. The old confidence was gone. Antony heard false news that Cleopatra was dead. He was broken by grief. Soon after, Antony died. Cleopatra was taken by Octavian's men. She was still alive, but she was not free. Octavian wanted to take Cleopatra to Rome. He wanted to show her in his victory parade. For a Roman leader, this would be a powerful symbol. The proud queen of Egypt would walk as a prisoner, but Cleopatra could not accept this. She had been a queen all her life. She had fought for her country. She had spoken with Caesar, ruled with Antony, and protected Egypt as long as she could. So Cleopatra made her final choice. She chose to die in Egypt, not to live as a prisoner in Rome. The exact details are not fully certain. Many people say she used a poisonous snake. Others think it may have been poison in another form. What we know is this. In the year 30 before Christ, Cleopatra died. She was 39 years old. After Cleopatra's death, Egypt changed forever. Octavian took control. Egypt became part of the Roman Empire. The old line of Egyptian pharaohs ended. Cleopatra was the last active ruler of ancient Egypt. Octavian later became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Rome became stronger than ever, but Egypt lost its independence. Cleopatra's story is powerful because it is not simple. She was not only a beautiful queen. She was a leader, a mother, a student, a speaker, and a survivor. She lived in a world where men held most power, but she found a way to be heard. She used language, intelligence, courage, and strategy. She made choices in a dangerous time. Some choices helped her, some choices hurt her, but she never stopped fighting for her throne. People have told many stories about Cleopatra. Some stories are true, some stories are not. Roman writers often wanted her to look dangerous because she was the enemy of Rome. Later artists made her life seem only romantic. But the real Cleopatra was more interesting than that. She was educated. She spoke many languages. She understood politics. She knew Egypt needed Rome, but she also tried to keep Egypt free. When we think of Cleopatra, we can imagine Alexandria by the sea. We can imagine the great palace, the library, the ships in the harbor, the Nile shining under the sun. We can imagine a young queen hiding in a bundle to meet Caesar. We can imagine her sailing to Antony like a queen from a dream. We can imagine her standing at the end, calm and proud, choosing her own final path. Cleopatra lived a short life, but her name crossed centuries. More than 2,000 years later, people still ask about her. Who was she really? Was she ruled by love or by power? Was she lucky or unlucky? Was she a hero or a clever survivor? Maybe she was many things at the same time. Like all real people, she was not one simple idea. She was human, and that is why her story still speaks to us. It shows us that intelligence matters. Words matter. Courage matters. Timing matters. It also shows us that power can be dangerous. Friends can become enemies, and even the greatest palace can become a prison. Cleopatra's world disappeared, but her story did not disappear. It stayed alive, in books, in art, in films, and in the memory of the world. So, my friends, this was the story of Cleopatra, the last great queen of ancient Egypt. Thank you for listening and learning English with me today. You are doing a wonderful job. Every story you hear gives you new words, new ideas, and more confidence. Tell me in the comments what story you want next. And if this story helped you, please like, subscribe, and come back for the next Calm English journey. Source note: based on the uploaded Cleopatra story structure and facts,